Hello, good evening. A very warm welcome to today's session. I can see the popularity of the subject by the number of participants. Um, I think these three sessions, today's being the third one, on soft skills, it goes to show that how many members and future members are interested, or how much importance do they attach with soft skills such as the ones that we have covered in these 3 days. I know we've just touched the tip of the iceberg. If you pick up, let's suppose, communication skills alone or communicating with confidence alone, I think the subject in itself is so in depth that it could form a full-fledged 120 credit hours subject or study in itself. So what we are aiming at doing is to highlight those aspects of these topics which are most important, relevant, and needed for effective utilization or effective implementation in the workplace. Okay, so therefore we're not undermining any other aspects that have not been covered, but I think it should be very clear in our minds that this is just the beginning. There is a lot to be discovered. There's a lot to be done by yourselves, in these domains. So talking about negotiation skills, talking about decision making skills, and now talking about communicating with confidence. I mean, these subjects are very important. They will go a long way in making you grow in your professional lives and in making you a thoroughbred professional in your workplace. So today's subject, without any further ado, is communicating, and Mr. Mubin has developed a full-fledged 2 hours training for the purpose. I hope all of you would have enjoyed these 3 soft skill sessions. I have. And following on from here, we are going to jump onto recruitment and selection, as in resume development, etc. And then from there we'll go on to taxation. So from 17th onwards, we are going to be discussing tax as a specialty, and particularly looking at taxation from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Bangladesh's perspective. So I think that's the plan. With that, I'll hand over to Mr. Mubin ul Haq. We are already pressed for time, so Mr. Mubin, if you can take it on from here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Let me share the screen. I cannot share my screen. Can you give me that right? Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to everybody. Today is the third session on communication skills. First, we did negotiation. Second, we did problem solving and decision making. And today's third session, I will try to create a link between the first 2 sessions, how the first 2 sessions can be applied in this session. From the very onset, as Harun said, communication is a very broad area, many topics come under its belt. But let me state the objective of today's session. It's very, very simple and clear. My focus will be how can we improve the quality of communication in our everyday life, be it office, home, or any other place. The whole entire focus of the session is we will learn the tools and techniques to improve the quality of communication. I will not be talking about technical communication like written report writing. The technical aspect of communication we discussed in negotiation. Negotiation is a higher level communication ability. We will touch briefly upon conflict management as a part of communication skills. It's something that we do normally in the managing conflict. It's a part of communication. And as manager, our job is to communicate. And the quality of our communication will determine the quality of our work. So let me start this communication skill workshop by again emphasizing the objective is to help us improve the quality of our everyday communication. And as usual, we will be discussing and asking lots of questions. This is the content. 4 modules we will try to cover. Today I'm little pressed with time because I have another commitment at 8:15 where I have to be. So we will try to close it sharp by 8 o'clock. So first module is about the canvas that covers what communication is all about, listening skills, then communication styles and conflict management. Canvas of business communication. Now let's understand. Communication, the meaning of communication. It is basically exchange of information that one person shares with another. And the intention is that the message should be understood, interpreted, and acted upon. So when we communicate, we are trying to create a relationship, a link between 2 persons, the sender and the receiver. And we are trying to create a certain response by the receiver. The sender is trying to create a certain response by the receiver. And that is why in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, it is said the meaning of communication is the response you get. Meaning of communication is the response you get. That means that whatever the response that you are getting from the receiver, it is because of your communication. So it is an exchange of information that between 2 or more than 2 people. Communication is very simple. This is a typical flow chart of communication process. There's a messenger. The messenger does some coding. Coding means using certain language, methods, words, pictures, any other media, any other thing that a person used to code the message that he or she has in his mind or her mind. Then using certain channels like video channels, graphics, writing, speaking, other channels, the message is sent across to the recipient. The recipient does the decoding and then tries to make out what is the message, and in the process the recipient performs that task, whatever is required. So that performance of that task is the behavior or the output of that communication. So question is, when you look at it, first question, what is missing in this whole process? What is missing in this whole process? If you look at this process critically, can you tell me what is missing? Yes, it is the feedback. Zara, very good. Zara, you are very intelligent. I started to like you now. Not the purpose, is the feedback. Without the feedback, communication is incomplete. That is why I keep on asking you people, so that I can get the feedback. Otherwise, it's just one-way communication, which I do not understand whether you are understanding, you are getting it, you are sleeping, you are what. So I do not know what are you doing because I cannot see you. It's not face-to-face. So it is the feedback that is most important part without this process, because communication is a process, and process means there's a continuity in it. Yes, response is a feedback. Ghulam Farid. Good. So feedback tells the sender whether the message has been decoded properly or not. Because the message that has been coded by the messenger may not be interpreted by the receiver in its entirety. And hence it creates a problem. Because in coding, the messenger may use certain words or behaviors or some tones that can change the total message in totality. There could be certain words that the receiver will not understand. There could be certain tones that can be interpreted negatively. There could be certain physical behaviors attached with the message that could mean something else. So feedbacks helps the messenger, the sender, understand that what has been decoded. Is it decoded the way the messenger wanted it? That is why in NLP, the meaning of communication is the response you get. So the process of coding and decoding can only be improved if there is a good quality of feedback. So our objective is to improve the quality of feedback or quality of communication in everyday life. That is the objective of today's session. For this question, can you answer who is responsible for ensuring the quality of communication? Sender or the receiver? One who is talking or one who is listening? Who is responsible? Sender, receiver, both. Sender, receiver, both. Sender, receiver, both. Who? 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 Again, no. It's sender, receiver, both. Everybody is answering the same question. My question is still the same. Who? It's neither the sender nor the receiver. Then who? Yes, it's both, but something that is everybody's responsibility is nobody's responsibility. Remember, when something is everybody's responsibility, it's nobody's responsibility. If you think sender, no. If you think receiver, no. No, medium is just a medium. It has no responsibility. It's the air. Air is not responsible for anything. It is any person who takes the responsibility. If the receiver takes the responsibility of ensuring quality, it is the responsibility of the receiver. If the sender takes the responsibility, somebody has to take the responsibility, and that's a first law. If you are the sender, take the responsibility of communicating. If you are a receiver, take the responsibility of quality of communication. If nobody is taking the responsibility, then the quality will not be ensured. Responsibility is given to someone. It is not in the air. It is not in the channel. It is not, it's nowhere. It is only one who takes the responsibility. So if you are not getting quality of communication in your lives, that's because you are not taking responsibility. What if the person in front of you is not a good communicator? The person cannot communicate his or her opinion clearly to you. Is it her or his mistake? No, it's your mistake. Why are you not understanding? One of my boss, he used to do one thing very regularly. When there was a difficult concept to be taught, he would call in our chef's son. He was around 15 years old, that boy, and not that literate. he was just, I think, metric pass at that time. And he would try to explain this concept to that person, that boy. And he said, if I can make him understand this concept, I can make this concept understand to the CEOs and the GMs and the managers of that organization. He has taken the responsibility of communication, that I am responsible for the quality of communication, nobody else. So please be very careful whenever you are communicating, and if other person is not understanding, take responsibility. Muhammad Anas Khan, what did you not understand? So I am taking responsibility that you understand what we are saying, I am saying. It is my responsibility. If you're not understanding, I have to make sure that you understand. You have to take responsibility. If you are listening, it's your responsibility to understand. If you are talking, it's your responsibility to make other person understand. Your responsibility is not to say some words and they disappear. No, it's not the responsibility. Communicating is not speaking some words. Communicating is not just listening to some words. It is developing an understanding, right? Hassan, we will talk about it. Think about it. Just think about it, what I just said. Yes, you can take responsibility of other, because at the end, it is your job to communicate. And we will discuss how can we do that. That is the objective of this session. You are responsible no matter what happens in life. Remember, you are responsible. You are responsible for your success and you are responsible for your failures. And that is what leadership is all about. And leadership's biggest challenge is communication. Have you ever thought about leadership as communication? Think about it. What does leader do? They inspire, they motivate, they share stories, they share visions. What is this? This is all communication. Right? So please understand, somebody has to take the responsibility in this process of communication. And it's better that you take, whether you are a sender or a receiver, you take. I am responsible. From today, you'll say, I am responsible for the quality of communication, no matter what. If you are a sender, you are responsible. If you are a receiver, you are responsible. So don't give this responsibility to others. It's not about, Suleiman, that you cannot be responsible for happening. It's not about that. You are responsible for your own communication. If you are interacting with somebody, you are responsible to make sure that the things are communicated properly. You are not responsible for everything in the world, but you are responsible for your own self, and take responsibility for your own self. So don't think that I'm talking, you are responsible for everything in the world. No, you are not. Okay, let's move forward. This is my definition of quality of communication. This is my very own definition of quality of communication. If you are communicating, and when I say communicating, it does not mean I mean that you are not sender. You could be a receiver. So when you are a receiver and the person is angry, your boss who is angry, you are empathetic. Again, emotional intelligence comes in. We will be discussing a little bit about emotional intelligence, because communication without emotional intelligence is nothing. When, for example, you are a customer representative and a customer comes to you and shouts, what is your job? So your boss is your customer. He or she shouts. So you are a customer representative. Your job is to understand and make the customer comfortable. That is your job, to make the customer comfortable. So when you think about others and their ability to understand, you put yourself in a position to influence and inspire others, to extend your hand to develop the relationship. And this is what we will see. So first learning is responsibility. Remember, you are responsible for the quality of communication, whether you are a sender or a receiver. If you take the responsibility, the quality of communication will enhance. And second learning is the care you show while listening, while communicating. And when you look at this point, try to understand this from both perspectives. How do you show care when you are the sender? Can you tell me, how do you show care when you are the sender? How do you show care when you are the sender? Yes, appropriate tone. Yes, that's one thing. Good. And how do you make sure, make the, if you're a sender, how do you take care? How do you show your care? How do you show your care? Yes, body language. Very good. Through gestures. Choice of words. Yes. We use certain words that show care. If we do not care, we will use abusive language. If we do not care, we will use bad body language. We will use bad tones. Similarly, when you are a receiver, how do you show care? When you are a receiver, how do you show care? Yes, listening, tones, yes, the word that we repeat. So either way, you can show that you care. And when you care, people talk to you. You have communication. When you show, I do not care, how can you communicate? Do you understand? Communication is just not one person talking. It's two people. It's a process. Even if you are a sender, you have to show care. If you are a listener, you have to show care. So the quality of care that you show in communication will enhance the quality of communication. Please put yourself in the shoes of other. Show care. Communication is all about care. Good. Yes, empathy is a part of communication. Very good. My next question. How many types of communication are there? Any idea? Two. Formal, interpersonal, no idea. Three, maybe three. Oral, written, four. Okay. Five. Yeah. Okay, yes. Okay, let me sure. One is on the basis of relationship, formal and informal. Type of communication based on relationship. On the basis of flow, vertical, diagonal, horizontal. Yani an organizational structure. In an organization, vertical, horizontal, diagonal, up and down. On the basis of expression or channel, written, oral, gestures, drawing. So there are many types. But two most important are interpersonal and intrapersonal. What is the importance of intrapersonal? What is the importance of intrapersonal? Yes, it's self-talk. What is the importance of intra? No, no, no. Organization between employees. No, no, no. It's intrapersonal self-talk. What we talk with ourselves. Is it communication? Is it communication? Intrapersonal is the first communication that we do with ourselves. Only then we communicate with others. First, we communicate with ourselves, we give message to ourselves, and then we communicate with others. So the quality of communication starts with your intrapersonal communication. What are you saying to yourself? What assumptions are you holding? What tones are you, what beliefs and what emotions are you saying? So this is the most important aspect. So intrapersonal communication is what you say to yourself. What is the objective of communication? What do you think is the objective of communication? To convey our message, to understand others better, effective decision making, to communicate message, convey info. Okay, let me share. Let me share. Communicate message, it's being communicated, but that's not the objective. Ah, relationship, Sultan. You are good. Get a chocolate. Objective of the relation communication is to help build relations. Please understand it again. Whenever you are communicating with someone because you have a relationship or you want to have a good relationship with that person or you want to build a relationship, whether he or she is your driver, cook, assistant, boss, customer, or your other person by any name, any position, the main objective is to build relationship. And the same communication can be used to destroy relationship. But that's not the objective of communication. But if you want it to be an objective, it can be an objective. Let me share a story here with you. A very, very important story. And this story has taught me a very, very important lesson of life, my life. And I use it very, very commonly. It's one of the most important lessons in my life. It's about Socrates. One day, someone came to the great philosopher and said to him, "Do you know what I just heard about your friend?" And when you are reading this, put yourself in the position of the friend, of the person who has come to talk to Socrates, and imagine your everyday life. While reading, think about this dialogue as your own dialogue. You are having a dialogue with Socrates. So a person comes up to Socrates and says, "Do you know what I just heard about your friend?" "A moment," replied Socrates. "Before you tell me, I would like to test you the three sieves." "The three sieves?" the person asked. "Yes." "Yes," continued Socrates. "Before telling anything about the others, it's good to take the time to filter out what you mean. I call it the test of the three sieves. The first sieve is the truth. Have you ever checked it? What you are going to tell me is true?" The person replied, "No, I just heard it." "Very good," said Socrates. "So you don't know if it is true. We continue with the second sieve, that of kindness. What do you want to tell me about my friend? Is it good?" "Oh, no, no, no. On the contrary," the man replied. So questioned Socrates, "You want to tell me bad things about him and you are not even sure they are true? Maybe you can still pass the third test of third sieve, that of utility. Is it useful that I know what you're going to tell me about this friend?" Person replied, "No, no, not really." So concluded Socrates, "What you were going to tell me is neither true, nor good, nor useful. Why then did you want to tell me this?" What lesson do you derive? What lesson do you derive from this story? One of my favorite stories in life. What lesson do you derive? Communication should be purposeful. Good. Good. Good, Sultan. This is the lesson that I learned from this one. Before you communicate, think. What you are going to say or what you are hearing, is it true? Is it helpful what you are saying? Is it helpful to the person? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary to say the words or the information that you are passing out? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Think. Think before you say something. Again, objective of communication is relationship. Would you like to destroy your relationship because you are saying something which is not kind, which is not necessary, which is not helpful, and which is not even true? Even if it's true, is it helpful? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Should we say everything that is true, even if it's not kind? Can we convert that true into some kind words, which may not be some you see some weakness in some person? You want to help that person. Can you make that statement very kind to him so that it can become helpful? Words that are not kind are not helpful. They are not inspiring, and they are not necessary. Let me share an example. Do you know what is it? Do you know what is it? Why kind? Yes, Ali Tanveer. Why kind? Think about it. You want to hear bad things about you in the most cruel way? Yes, it's a rhino. No. Ali, just imagine people talking to you in the most cruel possible way. What will be your reaction? Would you like it? A boy went to the zoo and took a selfie, and he wrote, "Selfie with the elephant." He didn't know it's a rhino. So he posted it on the Facebook. Uh, that's what we do. We take a picture, selfie, and selfie with the elephant. So far, so okay. But this is the response that he got. The idiot does not know that's a buffalo. Now look at the words. Whatever he is writing, is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Do we do this all the time? If you only start to think while communicating, most of our everyday problems will go. Not all, but we will have some good relationships. Here, let me share a story with you, a very important story. My boss, my teacher told me, and it's an apt moment to share it with you. I asked my teacher, why we normally say the truth is very bitter, or Urdu में जब कहते हैं कि सच कड़वा होता है. For those who do not understand in Urdu, I'm saying it in English. That truth is sometimes we call it's a very bitter truth. So I asked my teacher, why is truth so bitter? What's the logic? What's the reaction? I don't agree with that. It should not be. So he asked me one question. He said, Mobeen, is mango sweet or bitter? I said, mango is a sweet fruit. He said, well, if you give mango to someone who has been suffering from typhoid and malaria, and you give that mango to that person, what will that person say? He'll say it's very tasteless, some sour taste, strange taste. He will not like that mango. So, but he said, but the mango was sweet. I said, yes, it was. He said, that's the reason, Mobeen. It's not the truth that is bitter. It is the language, it's the temperament, it's the intention of the speaker that makes that truth bitter. It is the temperament of the listener who makes the truth bitter. It is in our hearts and our minds, in our language, in our words, in our tones that we make it bitter. The truth itself was not bitter. So think. Take home this one tool, think. Try to apply it at least one time a day with somebody. If you are angry, think. If you love someone, think. If you're writing some important email, think. It's always beneficial to think about what we are going to say and how will it impact the emotions of other. What is our objective of communication, right? So please understand, communication is again focused on building relationship. It's not to show our superiority. It does not mean anything. It's not to show our anger. It's a part of communication. But when we want to be angry, actually we want other person to improve. The objectives are different. By abusing, by shouting, nobody improves. So take this with you. It's difficult, but this is an important tool and I use it very, very effectively. I have learned this one and I love this thing. Think. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Be kind. Only then you will be able to inspire. You will be able to help somebody improve. And if it's not necessary, why talk? Okay, let's take us to this level. Now, what are the common challenges that you are facing? And especially, please do discuss in the light of this COVID and digital media. In this era of digital, where face-to-face communication is not that common, like this one, what are the challenges that you are facing in the everyday life, and especially in the light of this COVID challenge? Can you share your communication challenges with me? Okay. Body language is lacking. Yes. Communication challenge, stress. Why stress is a communication challenge? Why organizational structure is a communication challenge? We are talking about communication challenge. Lack of confidence expressing grievance or disagreement. Okay, this is your personal challenge. Good, Hamza. You don't know the mood of other person, right? Language barriers, yes. In this global world, language barrier is very interesting area. It is emerging very fast. Overload of info, yes, yes. Yeah, Ghulam Fareed, we know you are facing language barrier. You are in Turkey. Lack of proper internet. Internet has become the one of the basic needs of human life, like food, shelter, friend, and internet. It's a basic need. Cultural issues in organizations. It's a very important communication challenge because communication changes as the culture changes. Very, very important issue. So there are many problems. Let me wrong communication channels. If you choose wrong communication channels, you are doomed. Yeah, you're right. No, with since there are many challenges, there are also barriers of communication. What is your biggest barrier to communication? What is your biggest barrier to communication? Emails are taken offensive only when you use tones in the email that we don't realize emails have tones in it. Lack of confidence. Okay. Yes, technology is some issue in communication, very, very big issue. Lack of confidence. And I don't understand, what do you mean by lack of confidence in communication? Can you elaborate, Mohammad Ali Burhan and Abdul Rahman Waqar? When you say lack of confidence, what do you really mean? Okay, Nisar Aziz, you need to learn listening skills. Very good. Peer review pressure. Yeah, what people will think about me. Yes, we will, Javeri, we will discuss listening. Yes, that's a very good area. Very good area. We will discuss listening. Lack of trust. Yes. Okay. When I have conducted many workshops on communication, you know, I'm just listing some barriers: physical barriers, perceptual barriers, emotional barriers, cultural barriers, language barriers, gender barriers, interpersonal barriers. So there are many barriers, and we need to be aware of these barriers when we are communicating. Please be very mindful of these barriers when we are communicating, because communication has politics built into it. And these barriers is we need to overcome, we need to plan. Well, you know, this is the biggest barrier of communication. In most of the organizations, even the managers are saying, "Oh, you know, there's a communication gap between me and my subordinates, even communication between me and my boss. There's a communication gap between me and my children. There's a communication gap between me and my parents." This is one of the biggest barriers that I have come across. Communication gap. And you know why is this communication gap? Because people do not try to take responsibility of communication. They use politics, the politics in communication. They do not understand the politics of communication. We do not focus communication to build relationship. For example, parents or boss or subordinate is not using communication as a channel to build relationship. We are using communication as a source of power. We will be discussing very shortly. Yes, perceptions and judgmental behaviors, because again, we are not thinking and we think whatever I am thinking is the right thing. Other persons are not right. I think I have shared with you one learning that I had last week. I learned something very beautiful last week in communication. The person said, uh, when we do something wrong, we justify ourselves. When somebody else does something wrong, we say he is character, the issue of character. Don't do that. Other person also has certain justifiable excuses. So communication gap, you have to remove that communication gap by identifying that communication gap. So basically, whenever we are communicating intentionally, systematically, purposefully, we need to understand what are the barriers that may be there. That if there are perception barriers, we will try to reduce. Now, let me explain this point to you very clearly. You know, marketing, advertisement. The aim of the advertisement is to create a perception about the brand in the minds of the customer. If branding is if the advertisement fails to create the right perception, it's not the issue of the receivers or the customers, it is the wrong message or the wrong mechanism or the wrong wording or the wrong channel. So what marketing managers do, they change the message, they change the medium, they change the mechanisms to get the right perception in the mind of the customer. Same applies to us. We have to understand what are the barriers. For example, gender barriers, language barriers, cultural barriers. Understand those cultural barriers, understand the perceptual barriers. What are those perceptual barriers? And then find a strategy to overcome those barriers. For example, can you share with me if there are cultural barriers in communication, how can we overcome that? How can we overcome cultural barriers? Or how can we overcome physical barriers? We have to study the culture, yes. While in Rome, do as Romans do. We have to understand what is good in that, in this culture, what is not considered to be good in that culture. For example, a Chinese, I was with the Chinese delegation. Chinese asked me, Mubin, I have seen people in Pakistan touching the face of others. What is it? We don't like it in China. I said, this is respect and love. In Pakistan, when we touch, we respect and love that person. I said, really? I was very awkward. In China, we don't like this thing. So you have to understand what words and tones and body language and postures are acceptable in that culture. So if you do not plan for that communication, you will be a failure. That's right. So basically, communication is a planned strategy. It's planning. Communication is a plan. When you are communicating strategically, when you want to communicate, one thing is you are communicating every day with your friends and everything. Even there is situations where you need to have a planned communication. What message do you want to give to each other? Give a little thought to the words that you are going to utter. Give a little thought to the physical postures that you are going to show. Give a little thought to the tones that you will be using. In friends, you know there are fights only because a person has used certain words, certain posture, or certain tone, or has said something which was not acceptable for other, and hence a fight erupt. Relationship. Objective of the communication is to build relationship. Be sensitive to others. Be sensitive to others. Think, think, think. Communication is a planned activity. When you write an email, read it twice. When you are going to do some important conversation with anybody, but it's important, whether it's your junior, superior, mother, father, family, think what will be the impact of your words and what image, what behavior do you want in response? Imagine that behavior, that response that you want, and what word or statement or tones or body language will create that behavior. You are a debater, you are a presenter. Think of yourself in front of audience. How do you want audience to perform, to behave? It's a planned activity. And that's what we not do. When you write, oh, gossip is an everyday thing. But is gossip an effective communication? Does gossip increase the quality of your relationship? If it is not, it's not an everyday thing. It is a thing that people use to kill time. And when you kill time, time kills you. Remember, when you kill time, time kills you. How to overcome age barrier? How do you talk to a children? How do you talk to children? How do you make them, you talk to them in their language, you go to their level. If they are somebody who's senior to you, pay respect, listen. If he or she may have a different opinion than you, so what? You also have a different opinion. You can at least respect and listen to that person. You may not agree. Just make them comfortable. Just listen. You don't have to disagree on everything in life. They have their opinion, they have their experiences. They may not be relevant to your experience, but they are relevant to their experience. Respect, show care. Again, relationship, again, care. Please understand, quality of communication is care. It's not about agreement or disagreement. It's about relationship. So now be very watchful of this slide. Be very watchful of this slide. So now you see, I am emphasizing again and again because I want you to take notice of this thing. I could have just gone past this slide, but since I want you to focus on this slide, I am emphasizing what is written in here. If your communication is not quality, if you're not getting the response that you want, and you have taken the responsibility of effective communication, that means now you need to change your strategy. For example, you might change your words. You might change the medium. Instead of writing an email, you may go to that person, you may call that person, or even instead of calling that person, you may send him an email, send him a letter, send him a card. Or even if you see that there are some barriers, perception barriers, you can ask someone else. There is a language barrier, you can ask someone else. There's a culture barrier, you can ask someone else. Your objective is to communicate, not to create a fight, not to show superiority. And in last, change your style. But right now you do not know what is the style. We will discuss styles. But just imagine you have communicated something and the person has not understood. One response that you could give is to become angry. Why don't you understand? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your brain? Do you leave your brain in the home or what? Am I talking to some empty brain? No. There are certain words that the person is not understanding because the decoding process is not there. The words are not in his dictionary, or the dictionary has different meanings. Change your words. If you are talking on the phone, change your medium. So since the objective is you must get your communication across effectively, and you are finding out that whatever you are doing is not good enough, you need to involve somebody else. Ask somebody else who can clearly make that person understand what do you want. So learn that results of your communication should be measured, and you must change your strategy, change your words and your medium. So what did we learn in this module? What did we learn in this module? So what did we learn in this module? Think, good. Applicable if you are on the receiving side, good. Kind concept, barriers, take responsibility, quality, think before speaking, very good. Barriers and how to, you must always take care in mind the barriers. Relationship building is a key component of communication. Very good, Hasna. Very nice. Okay, let's move forward. Remember that communication is what we do every day. So we cannot take it lightly. This is who we are. Now let's move to the specifics of communication. This was generic about the objective of communication, barriers of communication, the quality of communication. Now let's look at the specific tools. listening skills. Now listen to this point. Before we can lead, we must serve. Before we can serve, we must prepare. Before we can prepare, we must learn. Before we can learn, we must listen. Before we can listen, complete this point. What should be the last line? What should be the last line? Yeah, you have, I think, read my handouts, Tanzil. Yes. Good one. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Tanzil. We must be silent. We cannot listen if we are talking. So from silence to leadership, if you are not silent, how will you lead? If you are not silent, how will you learn? This is very interesting. I was reading a book on listening skills, and I found this thing in that book, and I really, really enjoyed it. Read it. Throughout our education, we focus on reading, writing, and speaking skills. We do not learn listening skills in school or college or university. Nobody has taught us. Nobody has taught us. Have you ever thought about it? Nobody has taught us. And this is the importance of speaking and listening. The quality of communication depends upon listening. If you are 80% talking, you are not a good communicator. But if you are 80% listening, yes, that's a good communication. So we need to learn to listen. We need to put energy into listening. Isn't it amazing? That's so true. In our entire life, we have been hearing the importance of listening, but nowhere in our life anybody has taught us how to listen. That's amazing. That's amazing, you know. So what are the qualities of a good listener? Can you identify some qualities of a good listener? Reflecting and asking open-ended question, good Sultan. Patience, giving at ease, empathy, interest, excellent. Empathy, Dinuki, very nice, very nice. Empathy is a very, very important concept in communication. I wish we can have that empathy. Silence with passions, patience, focus. Okay, very good. Presence, very nice, very nice. Listening completely, very good, very nice. Amjad. Quick response. No, Aisha. Aish. It's Aish. No quick response. Listening is just opposite. Slow response. Giving opinion. No. Let me help you understand. So there are certain qualities of good listener. Right? Very nice. Most of you have wrote it properly. And the poor listeners, they are this. The first is they interrupt, they change subject, and they are impatient. Poor listener is too much talkative. Well, I'm afraid in this webinar, I am acting as a poor listener. I'm just talking. Well, that's the issue of these webinars. So there are three levels of listening, not the types, but the three levels of listening: comparative, passive, and active. What is the difference between 1 and 2? What is comparative and what is passive? Thank you, Saida Asif. I tried to make them interactive. Otherwise, it get very boring. It's not lack of communication then. Okay, what's the difference between 1 and 2? Competitive and passive. Anybody who has an idea? What's the difference between the two? Passive is ineffective is the quality. What is the difference? What is competitive listening? How can you define competitive listening? What is the definition of competitive and what is the definition of passive? Or what is the behavior associated with competitive and what is the behavior associated with passive? No, it's listening. We cannot enforce our perceptions. Please understand, we are talking about listening. Yes, Dinuki. Yes, Dinuki, you are right. Competitive listening meaning listening to respond. Passive, Aisha Yakub. Yes, you are right. Passive is listening silently. Listening for the sake of listening. Now let me help you understand. Competitive listening is when we are listening, but we are actually thinking how to respond. We are listening, but at the same time, we go, okay, this is what I will respond to. You are thinking about the response. You are in debate. You are in a competition with other person. You want to give that person shut up call, or you want to give an argument that makes him shut up. So competitive listening, you are not listening. You are thinking about your response. Passive or attentive is what we do in classrooms. The teacher is giving us lecture and we are listening attentively, passively. There's no two-way communication, one-way communication, passive communication. So first level is not listening. Rather, there's another level I forgot to write. That is acting to listen, where we are not even listening, we are acting to listen. And after that comes the competitive listening, and then passive and attentive listening. The first two, the second is okay. It's required in life. It's required. First is very bad, and the most effective is the third level. By the way, do you know how can we identify it's competitive listening or passive listening? What is the physical behavior associated with competitive listening? Anybody who can answer me, what is the physical response, physical behavior associated with competitive listening? Competitive listening, Aisha, is when you are listening to respond. You are thinking what will you say in return? You are not trying to understand, you are trying to respond. So what behavior is associated with competitive listening? How do you know you are listening competitively or passively? Yes, interrupt. Good. Yes, Zahra, it's good. You interrupt. Quickly answers. Yes. Yes. Very nice. When they rebuttal, very good, Omer. Very good. Let me share one very key point. Yes, they do not listen completely. Uh, you know, what happens when you are comparatively, your eyes are moving constantly, either up, down, or left or right. If you are moving your eyes, you are not listening, you are competitive listening. So what is active listening? Let's focus on active listening. Active listening is little difficult. It requires all of these skills. It requires questioning skills. It requires your ability to be patient and to attentive. It requires your ability to summarize and paraphrase. It requires your ability to reflect your feelings and others' person feeling. So it requires many skills. So as you can see, there are two different questions: asking probing questions and open-ended questions. So active listening is basically trying to understand. I'm using the word trying to understand, where you put an effort to understand the person. While in comparative, you are not trying to understand, but you are trying to respond. In attentive, you are just trying to get the person, what the person is saying, without trying to clarify what the person is saying. You are just listening. Like TV, in front of TV, we are passive. We are just absorbing everything that is coming into us. Or in classrooms, we are just absorbing that everything is coming to us. But in a dialogue situation, one-to-one relationship situation, we are not doing as passive. We are required to do active listening. So active listening skills has these 5 skills, 5 steps, 5 skills, whatever you want to call. First skill or step is called attending. Attending means focusing the person that you are talking to, you're listening to. And focusing means putting your mind at rest, creating an eye contact with the person, and saying to yourself one statement that the person who is in front of you, to whom you are listening, has something very important to say. And I'm repeating this statement again. Attending means saying to yourself, the person who is in front of you is the most important person, and he or she has to say something very important. So you put your mind, your thoughts at hold, you fix your eyes, your gaze in his eyes, look at him compassionately. Your body language is positive. You have moved a little bit forward to that person like this, and you are in a mode to listen. So you are attending. So without attending, the listening will not start. It is the first step, or it's the ignition key of listening engine. Make your body, give your message to your body that you are going to listen, and you will make your body move in the forward direction. Your eyes will be focused on that person. Your brain is focused on that person, because whatever that person is saying is the most important thing that you need to hear. So this gives respect. And when you give respect and you understand, you listen, give attention, the other person thinks you are caring and you are giving importance to that person. Only then this listening process starts. After that attention, second step is understand. Before I move into the, Sayyida Asif, so how can you avoid combative listening, especially you can avoid, not other person. Other person will be doing whatever he or she wants. You can avoid by going into listening, active listening. Understanding. Now, understanding means asking right questions and trying to understand what the other person is saying without judging. You listen, you paraphrase, you summarize, you ask questions. Now, when I say summarize, it means you repeat in your own words what the other person is saying, so that the other person understands that you have decoded rightly. You have understood what the person was saying. When you understand, you also try to identify the emotions associated with that statement. For example, I understand that you are feeling angry. I understand that you are feeling sorry. I understand that you are feeling happy. So you are feeling disturbed. So you understand, you try to understand the feelings. Then you perform empathy. If I were in your situation, this is what I would have done. You show empathy. So in understanding, you try to go into the situation of that person. You look at that situation from his or her point of view, and you ask relevant questions that make that person to go in details to explain whatever he or she has in her heart or mind. So understanding is not agreeing. Agreeing is something totally different. You are trying to understand what the other person is saying. And in doing that, you must remember what the person has said. And in order to remember, you can take notes, you can even record, or you can repeat what the person is saying. Without memory, there is no listening, there is no communication, because you have forgotten what the person is saying, so the communication cannot go on. After that, it comes to evaluating. Now, evaluating means the person, you can say that whatever you have said is totally wrong. Evaluation. Or you can say, I have evaluated, there are these good points and these weaknesses. These are the areas that need to be improved. After that, your response can come. How do you respond is dependent upon your understanding and evaluation. So your response is a calculated one. It's a totally understood one. And this is a situation where the customer or your opposite partner in communication is also comfortable that your response is coming after understanding, not before. In competitive listening, we respond without understanding others' point of view, others' logic. We do not try to understand the emotions associated with that. We do not even remember what that person has said. We just evaluate on our own opinion and our belief and our value systems. We do not evaluate in reality the truth. We just judge them by our opinions. So active listening is a process where you are not only passively listening, but also asking relevant questions, repeating and paraphrasing, and making other person feel comfortable in it. So that is the difficulty in listening. It requires lots of patience, and leadership is all about listening. So any question in listening, it's one of the most important aspect in communication. And then I will share a story of listening with you. Any questions on listening? Okay, let me just share one story of listening with you. My boss taught me listening through this story. Uh, he told me that there were two Japanese sword masters. One sword master came to the other sword master and said, I want to learn, teach me how to fight with the swords. The senior sword master put a cup in front of that junior sword master and started to pour tea into it. In Japan, as you know, tea giving is a very important ritual. The sword master was pouring the tea into it till the time the tea was filled to the brim of the cup. The sword master continued pouring the tea into the cup, and it started to overflow. The junior sword master pointed out the master, the tea is spilling over. The senior sword master looked at him, picked up the cup and threw it away and put the empty cup in front of the junior sword master. And he got the message. And my boss said, Mubin, what's the message? I said, first empty yourself. He said, yes. And this is the tool that I want to share. Whenever you want to have a good communication, first empty the person who is in front of you. Ask him to share everything that he or she wants to talk. When the person is empty, the person will be in a position to talk and listen. You cannot make a person understand and communicate if the person is full. So first understand, make them empty. Only then your word of wisdom will go into his heart. And this is a very, very powerful tool. listen, and empty others. Okay, Ji. Let's move to the third module, communication styles. A very powerful concept in communication that very few people have the either know or have the ability to change their styles. I have seen some people commenting on an assertiveness style. So, can you tell me how many styles are there? How many styles do you know? Sajid Yaya, how make that person empty? Oh, very simple. Very simple, Yaya. You just ask that person, okay, tell me what do you want to say? Or what happened? That's all. And when the person starts to say, just listen. There's a very good story associated with how to make empty. A person made a computer and challenged that the computer will answer everything, anything that person can ask. And if any person can beat that computer, he will give that person $1 million. Many people tried and asked lots of questions, and computer was able to answer every question correctly. One person came and said, okay, I will compete, but give me 1 day. Like, okay, let's have it. After 1 day, the computer, there was a fire in the computer room. The people ran, they said, there's lots of paper here and there, everywhere, paper, paper. I said, what happened here? Said, I asked one question to the computer. Okay, tell me, what do you know? And the computer started printing everything. After it has printed everything, I asked, what else? And the computer was burned. So it's empty. Ask question. Listen. Okay, Daniel, what three? Which three? Can you name them? Yes, Sayyid Asif, you have to be empty and do your homework. Both sides. Yes, it's a challenge because when you are listening for the ideas of other person with respect, and you are waiting for your turn. So you act as empty. Passive aggressive assertive, Daniel. Yes, we have talked about it. Any other style other than these three? Ah, you have also read my handouts. Good one. Sultan, very good. There are many styles of communication. Let me share. Communication style is our strategy to respond. It's based on our beliefs about ourselves and others, our body language, our tones, and choice of words. Now, this is very important because when we change our style, we change our words, we change our tones, we change our body language, we change our medium as well. So, choose your style very consciously. This is the most important thing. Again, one of the most important things I've learned in my life. Unfortunately, we are not taught this changing communication. On the streets, you see people using only two, passive and aggressive communication style, because nobody has taught them any other communication style. In your offices, you see your bosses taking only one or two of the communication style, either passive or aggressive. They have not been taught what is assertive or what are other styles of communication. So the power of communication lies in its styles. There are three different types: power-based styles, thinking type-based style, and personality-based styles. I will not be talking about personality-based styles today. It's a different area, but it's an important area. You can go and look at on the website. So what is your personality-based communication style? You can identify your personality-based communication. There are 2-3 different personality-based communication styles. So power-based styles, you all know: passive aggressive, and assertive. What do you know about passive aggressive? What is passive aggressive style? Can anybody tell me? What is passive aggressive style? Omer, you wrote passive aggressive. No, passive aggressive is not dominating. What do you mean by passive on the surface, Sultan? No, not Tanzil, not really Tanzil. What is passive aggressive? Is it a good style or a bad style? Yes, Ariful Islam, you are quite right. No, it's a passive aggressive. Passive is stand alone is passive is something different, but in passive aggressive is something different. In passive aggressive, we curse inside, but we do not show outside. But when we go to person who is on junior or less powerful, we become aggressive. So we use our aggression somewhere else. In front of my boss, I'm not aggressive, I'm passive, but heart in heart, I'm very angry, very aggressive. But I'm showing on my face passiveness. But when I go out, I'd use my aggressiveness on somebody else. So it becomes a very, very negative. It's a double-edged sword. It is killing you inside, and it is killing other person, your relationship from the outside. So in passive and aggressive combination is one of the worst combination. It's a situation of very low self-esteem. Don't ever feel in this position that when somebody is abusing or getting angry on you, you are feeling aggressive, but you don't show, but you are getting angry in your heart. And when you go out, you start shouting and you start abusing. So assertive, aggressive, passive is one of the worst type of communications. So let me just go straight to passive assertiveness. We have talked about it. And thinking based IVS thinking cats, we'll be talking about this one. Let me go to assertiveness. As you know, most of you know what is assertiveness. And we saw in negotiation skills that all negotiation strategies are arising because of the assertiveness. Without assertiveness, we cannot negotiate, we cannot do. And again, remember, this style is based on power. And when we say power, it means in a situations of conflict. It's not a normal behavior in a relationship. It's only in the situations of conflict that we use these 3 or 4 styles: aggressive, passive aggressive, and assertive. In a non-competitive situation, in a non-aggressive situation, in a non-threatening situation, styles of communication are different. So these are the power-based. When we want to show our power, a parent is showing power, teacher is trying to show power, boss is trying to show power, somebody else is trying to show power, customer is trying to show his power. They normally use aggressive stance, or we use passive stance, or we can use assertiveness stance. And assertiveness being the best choice, style of choice in these situations of politics and power. So these are the styles of power. Please understand, they are not to be used in every situation and every circumstances. Don't try to be assertive in a friendly relationship. You will destroy the relationship. Don't even try it there. Yes, Moeed, Anjum, it's very common, and that because people are not trained to avoid it. So you learn, you should know because you have been trained now. Training means your ability to change your style. You are now, you know something is not good. Now you have the ability to move from passive aggressive to assertive. That is why this training is going on. So don't stand with people who are, don't be the person who do not know, who has not been trained. So now that you know, you should get out of this style immediately. So this is assertive, the central column. You can read this column for your own self. Many people are aware of assertiveness. Then I will go into some question session with assertiveness. The first point is one of the most important, recognizing that your needs matter as much as anyone else. This is the most important point in assertiveness. And last point, build your self-esteem. Only people with high self-esteem can be assertive. And yet remember, aggressive not only destroys his own self-esteem, but others as well. So either way, the aggressive destroys self-esteem of both sides. They're destroyed. So this is when you can use assertiveness. These are the certain situations of life where you need assertiveness. If you are feeling angry, aggressive means you blame. Passive means you blame. That means the other person is making you become sad, become angry, become something that you don't want. You are in a negative emotions of state because of somebody. So stop blaming. Nobody can change your moods, your behaviors, only if you want to. That is what assertiveness is all about. We become aggressive because we lose control. We become passive because we lose control. We become passive aggressive because we lose control. Assertiveness is about having control of life. Let me ask some questions with you. Let's see who answers. I'm sharing some scenarios with you. Read this scenario, then I will ask you some questions. Let's see who answers them correctly. First, read this scenario. Okay, I hope you must have read by now. Which answer is assertive? Which answer is assertive? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which answer is assertive? Two. Okay, but it's not really fully assertive. It's close to assertiveness. Three. What is three? Three is assertive or aggressive? One. One is assertive or aggressive? Five. Five is passive or aggressive or assertive? No, five is not assertive. Faisal, five is not assertive. Just give me time to make a call to delay the meeting. This is not assertive. Four is assertive. Yes. Two is okay. Two is also okay, but four is the best. So now what I want you to do is to focus on the language. What is the difference between 1 and 4, 5 and 4. What is the difference between the language? Focus on the way the answer has been shaped. Number one, no way. You should have let me know sooner. It's very aggressive. I'll explain 2 and 4, Asif. You are angry. You are giving a shut up call to other person. No way. You should have let me know sooner. You are fool. I'm so busy. You don't know. That's one. Degrading and demeaning to other. 2 is assertive, but language of 4 is much better. Because in 2 there's some passiveness, but I hope it does not take an hour or I'll be late for my appointment. It has a bit of passiveness built into it, but it's an okay response. 3 is again aggressive. I'm giving no regard, no respect to other person. I'm busy right now. We will see you tomorrow. 4 is giving the right, giving other person, but telling your own position at the same time. I have got 15 minutes and I will be late for my appointment. So if you have appointment, that's an important issue. So you are giving respect, and after that you can negotiate for any other time. But right now, you must tell the other person with respect, I must leave on time tonight, but I will give you whatever help I can. You are not refusing, you are respecting. Passive is humble, but humility at times, in this situation at times means reducing your self-esteem. A humble person does never reduces his or somebody else's self-esteem. So please don't confuse humility and passiveness. There's a very big difference between the two. Okay, let's move to the second scenario. Read this scenario. Okay. Which is assertive? Which is the best answer in this scenario? Three, 2, 5. Okay, what about 5? Let's see. 5. There seems to be a problem with the accuracy of the information. Can we try and resolve it together? Okay, yes, that's good. Yes, 2 and 5. They both are better. Both are better. 1 is passive, 3 is aggressive, 4 is very aggressive, 2 and 5. Both are assertive. So you can have more than one response, 2 and 5. Right? See how the tones are being made. You see how the perspective and respect of other is being kept in front. And our perspective is also given in a respectful manner. No, it's not condescending. 5 is much better, but 2 is also okay. Both are okay. So first thing we need to learn, when we become assertive, we need to construct the sentences in a way that are worthy of respect. We should be able to give respect and receive respect. Yes, sometimes we is a good word in assertiveness, but not always. Yes, it's a good word. Okay, let's look at the scenario 4. And this time I will not give you any answer. I want you to write the answer. What is your response? Oh, let me see. Okay, let me give you some responses. Sorry. Normally for scenario 3, I don't give response. I ask them to act as in a role play, and then we analyze how can you respond in an assertive way. So what is your response? One is very passive and aggressive. You are cursing inside, but saying, okay, yes, this man is so bad. What is 4? There's no scenario 4. Tanzil, there is no scenario 4. What is the 4? 4 is you create your own response. Zara, you could not read, just read it again. In the meantime, create your response. 1, 2, and 3 are not okay. 1 is very passive aggressive. Twos, you might create a rift with your boss who may order you to stay. And exactly this has happened with me, my personal experience. I refused because I had to go to the marriage ceremony of my brother, no other, but my own brother. And we had to leave for another city. And my boss said, well, it's your choice. Complete this task or leave. Huh? Very politely. So I want you to create your response. Number 4, what would be your response? Let's see who is creative enough. For chocolate. Yes, let's see whose response is the best for chocolate. Oh, Tanzil, you won the chocolate. Which chocolate would you like to eat? Yes, Nadeem, thank you. But how would you say that? How would you say that? Ah, yes, Nadeem Anjum, yes. I said to him, okay, boss, you want this thing to be done? Do you really want me to do, or you want this thing to be done? He smiled. He said, I want it to be done. I said, thank you. So I called my friend and told him what to do, because there were some minor changes that need to be done. I told him and sent him the copy, and that's all. And I went home. So here you can tell your boss the report you need in the morning. I will analyze it after the party in the night. I will spend the night. Don't worry. I will even come to office in the night. You will get this report in the morning. That's my promise. Now, this is assertiveness. Yes, you can ask other colleague to help with task, but with the permission of the manager. Yes. So you need to learn to say no, but with respect. Without saying no, you learn to say. Okay, let's move to 6 thinking heads. So what did you learn in assertiveness is the construction of your sentences, the tones, and the choice of the word. If you use aggressive words, it will become aggressive. If you use passive tones and words, it will become passive. If you use passive and aggressive combination from inside you are or outside you are passive, inside you are aggressive, it will hurt your own and you will burn in the stress. So best is assertiveness, but with a twist, make other person understand that you are respecting that person. If you remove the respect from assertiveness, it will become aggressiveness. So be very watchful of the element of respect in assertiveness. Without respect element, it will be aggressive. Okay. 6 thinking hats. Edward de Bono, he conceptualized this idea and presented the world. This is a book also, 6 thinking hats. His other books, there are many other books. Low Mopo, something like that about another thing. Then 6 action shoes. Then brain course on brain. So he's the proponent of lateral thinking. And this is a beautiful concept, beautiful concept. He says there are 6 different types of mindsets or thinking styles that we get indulged in everyday life. And in each style, our communication strategy changes. So he said, worst meetings are the meetings where everybody is at the same time using all the styles. There's a person with a black hat, then there's a person with the yellow hat, then there's a person with the red hat, and there's a total confusion going on. He said, in order to make meetings productive, brainstorm productive, creativity process productive, all thinking should be aligned. If everybody is thinking in a one way, the productivity of the communication process will increase, and communication will result in better relationships. So these are the 6 thinking hats. When I do the workshops on creativity and even problem solving, I use this one. I did not share this one there because I wanted to share it here. In creativity, we put on a specific hat while discussing a specific aspect of the problem. So white hat represents facts and figures. It's about what do we know. Remember problem definition? What do we know? Like, remember the doctors taking history? What has happened, when it happened, where it happened? So taking the history is a part of white hat. When you are checking the information, you are gathering the information. Nobody is challenging the information. Everybody is trying to chip in with the information he or she has in it. So there's all neutral. Everything is objective. Only the information, no perceptions, no nothing. Whatever is, what is it? It is presented as it is. All information. That's called white hat. Then comes the black hat. Black hat is about thinking critical, problems, faults, challenges. And it's a positive thinking, mind it. Black hat is not negative thinking. This negative thinking aspect is critical thinking, and it is required to challenge the assumptions and the flaws in that idea. So black hat thinking is a genuine type of a thinking that is required in any decision making. If you remember, we did risk analysis. That was black hat thinking. Critical thinking. It is required. And when we do black hat thinking in a meeting, Everybody is doing the same thing. Even the person who has given the idea, he will be forced to criticize his own idea. This opens up the scenario to a level where we can see the hidden aspects, hidden assumptions of that aspect. So in communication, if person is using black hat, the person will be criticizing. That means that person is using black hat thinking. In green hat, we are thinking about positives, not about the positives, but about creativity, about ideas, new ideas. And blue hat, this is a managerial hat. It guides us in what hat to wear. Yellow hat is about positivity of the idea. Black hat, it's the opposite of the black hat. It looks at all the positive aspects of an idea. But positivity must be supplanted with logic. Same is a critical thing. It must be logical. Red hat is about emotions. How do your gut feeling, and gut feeling has no logic. It's your gut feeling. You can present your gut feeling. It's a genuine form of thinking. That's called red hat. I'm not feeling comfortable. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. So your gut feelings, your emotions, emotional thinking is a very logical part of your thinking. So there are 6 thinking hats that we can use. So now can you highlight what is the use of these 6 thinking hats in communication? Blue hat is the manager thinking who guides what sort of thinking the group should be using. The blue hat controls the thinking process. He is the manager of thinking. If somebody is using black hat, he or she will stop, said, no, we are using yellow hat, no black hat right now. So when the person is allowed to wear black hat, everybody will be doing black hat, no blue or green hat. So the person guides the group towards a style of thinking. That's blue hat, the manager hat. No, no, not necessarily. You can start with any hat. You don't need to be careful. But it's better to have a sequence. White hat, then yellow hat, white hat, then you have to have a green hat or something like that. Yes, if you know which hat other person is using, you can empathize. And you can tell the wait, this person is not negative, he's just wearing black hat. Let's all wear black hat. Yes, it aids in decision making and group harmony and synchronize the thinking of group. Exactly. Yes. So should a think tank circle through? Yes, 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 yes. We use different hats. When we are conducting a problem solving workshop, we start with white hat, then we go to this black hat to identify the causes and everything, and then we green hat, then black, back to black hat, then to yellow hat, and then to red hat. So we keep on shifting the hats. So it helps in creating synergy in the group communication. So people are talking in the same language. And that is why in meetings, problems, either when one person stands up and criticizes the idea, the other person becomes hurt. Why are you criticizing my idea? Well, he was wearing a black hat. You should have worn it too. So understand these are the thinking styles that we use in our everyday communication. So you have seen that there are many styles of communication. And as a good communicator, you must master more than one style. So, and you must be able to identify the different styles. So keep on changing your styles as per the situation to create the results. After the styles comes the most important part in communication, which is emotions and interpersonal relationships. As you all know, the 4 EQ skills: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So intrapersonal is self-awareness, interpersonal is social awareness. So when you are aware of your own communications, you can manage your own performance. When you are not aware of personal communication style, you cannot be aware of others' communication style. To master any communication style, you must first talk to yourself in that communication style. Only then you will be able to identify the style of any other person. You should be able to listen to yourself first. Only then you will be able to listen to anyone. And when we are listening, we are non-judgmental. Listen to your own thoughts and then judge. You might find out so many flaws in your own arguments. So emotional intelligence is a very important area. It starts with self. It's intrapersonal communication. So whenever we are communicating, remember, people are communicating with emotions. So whenever we are listening and responding, we have to understand the emotional aspect of that situation. It helps us identify the emotional words. It helps us to stop us responding emotionally. For example, when somebody abuses us, we become angry. Why? Does it help us? Think. I don't become angry. It does not affect me at all, not even this bit. You know why? You know why? Because I say to myself, this is his communication style. He has not been taught. He's using aggressive language and using abusive language just to show his anger. He is angry right now. He is like a patient. He needs my respect and my ears. I must empty that person. Let him say whatever he wants. After he has said everything, he will be able to listen and respond in a positive manner. So he is not abusing me, he is abusing himself. He's not abusing me, he's just using some vocabulary that is picked up on the streets, and he's expressing that vocabulary to tell that he's very hurt, very angry, very this, very that. That's all. He's not saying anything to me. He's just expressing his own situation. Because he's illiterate, he's not trained. It does not affect me. My respect is beyond his reach. He cannot disrespect me. I have a very high self-esteem. These things will not disrespect me. It is only disrespecting himself. When he shouts and abuses, he's disrespecting himself. So emotions, understand the emotions and do not respond to emotions. Rather, if you have to respond, address the emotions as they are. For example, I understand that you are angry, you are hurt, you are frustrated. No, that's not tough to master, Sultan. No, believe me, that's not tough to master. Once you understand that person as a patient, he's vomiting. Imagine he is vomiting. What would you do? You will go up to that person and you will help him. Whatever he's saying, he's just saying because the person is angry. And he may be trying to use aggressive to overpower you. But since you are not being overpowered, you are in senses, you can use aggressive or assertive style. Don't use aggressive, always use assertive, right? Listen and try to understand his opinion. And if you are wrong, accept it. That's your honor. And if he is wrong, help him understand, but only when he can listen, otherwise he cannot understand. So role of emotions is very important because in relationship, we are all emotionals. Sometimes we love someone so very much. Sometimes we are hurt. Sometimes we are frustrated. Sometimes we are angry. Sometimes we are afraid. Understand that situation and listen to the words that person is using, the emotional words. And then use those emotional situation to direct that person's energy to positivity. If someone is frustrated, tell him this is a positive sign. You know what is positivity in frustration? Can anybody tell me what is the best thing in frustration? What is the positive thing in frustration? What is the best thing in frustration? What is positive in frustration? Yes. When we are frustrated, basically we heart and heart we believe that we can solve that problem, we can find the answer, but we have not been able to find that answer so far. That is why I'm frustrated. I have that ability, I have this conviction that yes, I can do it, but so far I've not been able to. That is why the frustration is positive. It only needs that support, that energy, that right answer, that click, that yeah moment, and that's it. You are done. So frustration is a positive message. Fear is a positive message. Anger is a positive message. What is the positive message in anger? Can you tell me? What is a positive message in anger? If somebody is angry, that's positive. Use empathy to understand. What is positive in anger? Okay. What is positive in anger? A person is angry and you are thanking him for being angry. He has emotions, but that's not the point. Everybody has emotions. Yes, they are emptying themselves. Yes, Sultan. They are telling us they do not like something. Something is wrong. So listen to them. What is wrong? Understand them. Give them the right to be angry because they love you. There's some relationship. So just listen to them. So role of emotion in communication is very important. You must master, you must learn emotions and must not respond to emotions. Rather than you must respond to the logics. So again, this slide in the beginning, how much do you think about this feeling and their ability to understand? That is the quality of communication. If you are not taking into account the feelings and their ability to understand, how can you communicate? I don't understand. You must take note of the feelings and their ability to understand. If the mind person is filled up, you cannot talk. You cannot talk. First empty that person. If the person is feeling down, feeling angry, feeling sad, the person will not be able to listen because he's so locked inside. You must empty that person, open that person. Only then you can talk. That is the quality of communication. So this is how you manage emotions. You must learn to relax your own self. Look for positives. Look for points that you can make that person feel relaxed. Observe their body language, their thoughts patterns. I observe. That is how you can create a better communication strategy. And using this, we can only manage conflict because conflict is a situation where emotions are high, logics are different, opinions are different, people are on opposite ends. So conflict management is a very high level of communication. It could be very small between parents and small children. I will not eat this cereal. From that cereal, eating that cereal, to the conflict with their boss or anybody else, it's the same conflict. Believe me, there's no difference in between that child saying I'm not going to eat the cereal to the boss that I will not going to allow this thing. There's no difference in the two conflicts. They are the same level of conflicts, and the methods are almost same. Anybody knows how conflict management strategies? Anybody who knows conflict management strategies? You don't need to change somebody else's pre-planned abusive behavior. You just need to control your own self. Let them be whatever they want to. Just don't become angry and abusive yourself. If you know they are pre-planned, they are trying to excite you, intimidate you into a behavior that they want you to corner. Just listen and move away. Don't be there. That's a judocratic strategy. You don't have to fight. You will only fight if you are there. So don't be there. How can they fight? How can they abuse if you're not there? Okay. So what are the various conflict management styles? Styles, Umar. Identify reason. This is the process. I'm talking about styles of conflict management. Styles, Saad. Don't ignore conflict. That's a good advice. It will always be there. It's a good part of life. Styles of conflict management. Let's see who comes up. Yeah, Sayyida. And have you read these styles before, Sayyida? Sayyida Asif? Have you read these styles before? Where? No, not in business analysis, not in business analysis. Where we read these styles? Collaborating, avoiding, compromising. Yes, sir, these are things. Where did we read these styles before? Collaborating, avoiding, compromising, in negotiation. Yes, now you see, conflict is a step in negotiation. Conflict management styles are basically same as that of negotiation. There could be many sources of conflict. There are many sources of conflict, and the focus of conflict is this. The difference when you focus on this conflict, what is the conflict, then you can resolve. If you focus on the sources of conflict, you can never resolve. So to resolve a conflict, you have to focus on conflict. So there are again assertive, unassertive, cooperative, uncooperative. So there are 5 styles. Let me. The first style is forcing. High assertive, low cooperative. In a conflict management, you can force a person to do what you want. That's the managers do. I am telling you, do it. No questions. That's conflict. That's parental style. Do it. You are grounded. That's parental style. Avoiding, where you are unassertive and uncooperative. You don't want to get involved in child's play, child's fights. You avoid them. Okay, manage it to yourself. Bosses do it all the time. If 2 people are having conflict, go and manage. In one of the organizations, and I also used to have the strategy when I was head of the department. To when there's a conflict, I ask them, go and solve it yourself and let me know what is the solution. So I don't get involved in child play. Accommodating is again parental and good relationship strategy accommodation. It's cooperative but unassertive. And compromising, which is bargaining as well in negotiation. And it's in between. Let's make a deal. You give up something, I will give up something. And the last, collaborating or the win-win negotiation or win-win communication is collaborating, where we both combined to resolve our differences. This is 6-hat thinking, we collaborate. In 6-hat thinking, we all are doing exactly the same thing. Everybody is black hat, everybody is yellow hat, everybody is a green hat. So we are collaborating. And this is the best level of conflict management. My question, we have gone through decision analysis, we have gone through negotiation. How can you apply decision analysis and problem solving in conflict management? What is the role of decision making in conflict management? Oh, we are a little late. In conflict management, we use problem solving techniques to find the solution to the conflict. We use all the steps of problem solving to find the right solution, agreed solution. So this is the technique in conflict management. We apply decision making, problem solving technique in conflict management. So when we combine everything, negotiation skills and decision making and communication with empathy, we create a high quality communication. So you see the tools that we have shared over the 3 scenarios help you become a better communicator, a better negotiator, a better friend, a better manager, a better parent, a better brother or sister, right? So communication is what we do every day, every minute, every second. Learn to improve. Be very conscious of your communication styles. Be very conscious of your words. Think before you communicate. Learn to listen. Listening is more important than talking. We only talk when we believe we have something important to say. We are more important than other. Communication is everything that we do. We are communicating all the time. Improve, learn, grow. Any question? Thank you. And this is the exercise for the assignment for the unmoderated session. Just say sorry and explain why were you angry? What made that you person angry? Just say sorry and genuine sorry. So an unmoderated session, practice listening skill with one person presenting his or her point of view on a topic of choice. It could be politics or anything, whatever you want. It could be anything. And person B will apply active listening techniques, will try not to respond before getting the permission to respond. Similarly, share a story of good and bad conflict management and then teach assertiveness to each other. These are the assignments for the unmoderated session. In the end, any comment, any suggestion before I close, because I have to be at another meeting which will start in next 5 minutes. So I will request all of you. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Learn, grow. But when you learn, be very conscious of what you are doing and what the environment. It is the consciousness that helps us grow. Shakil Ali, everybody is reading your comments. Don't worry. Thank you. Allah Hafiz and God bless you. Over to you, Feroz Saab. I am logging out. Feroz Saab.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mubin Saab, for the very insightful. Thank you so much.
I'm logging out. Okay, Allah Hafiz.
Okay, guys. So we'll be meeting in the unmoderated sessions, Fridays and Saturdays for members and future members. Till then, remember your assignments and please participate in those sessions. Those are very important for you. let's just meet in those sessions. Javeria, the next session will be announced. You will receive an email and that will be shared in the WhatsApp group as well. Let me just prepare the announcement and then I'll share with you guys. Okay, guys. See you next week and in unmoderated sessions. Bye bye for today.